All right, I got actually, I'm supposed to have a couple of books here. I just have one, um, but it's really not about the books. What I did a couple of years back, I got some research on. I was actually doing some research on the area here about what kind of plants can be foraged. You know, what natural things were growing here that you could eat. And I was watching a video. Gosh, it's probably 3-4 years ago, and it was a bushcraft thing, and the guy said, if you do some research and find books, or actually find out who the Native Americans or the Native peoples were in your area. You know, I live in Central California, and we had like 3 Indian groups here, and what this guy was talking about is find out who those Indian groups were, and then find who's done the research on them. Like, there's just about every Native culture has a natural history collected by someone, usually a university or something like that. But if you find out who the natives were where you're living now, and someone's already researched those people and kind of just wrote about who they were, what they did, how they survived, where you live, where you are now. And I'll give you an example. Well, before I do that, I was on a channel that I just recently subscribed to. It's Starwater. I'll give a link down below. Smart guy. He lives out here where I'm at. He's a prepper. He showed his book collection, and he had a book that I own, and it's a book about the local Indians here. And you know, another one of those books that talks about these people. You know, what did they subsist on? What was growing there? What did they hunt? That kind of thing. And so this particular book, I'll show you this example of this book. His video made me think of this. This one here is, see if I can get it in there. I'll move around. Miwok Material Culture, Indian Life of the Yosemite Region. Miwoks were one of the Indians in that area, near Yosemite. And this particular book, it'll show you here, give you an example. The foods and medicines that they used, how they cooked them, the use of plants. Now it lists all the plants: oaks, acorns, the buckeye, conifers, seeds, bulbs, greens, and talks about where they found them, what they are, and how they used them. Were they for medicinal purposes? Is something they ate? This kind of thing. How they hunting, taking of mammals, taking of birds, taking of fish. You know, plants not used, insects for food and medicine. Salt, tobacco, and pipes. I mean, it shows what kind of dances they did. I mean, it's got shelter, arts and industries, various activities, clothing, mats. But what you use this for is, this can be kind of a two-part thing. You read this book about these people. In my situation, like I said, I had four different books on this, because there's like 3 different Indian people that were here. And but I can find out what grows here naturally. Let's talk about post-SHTF. Everything kind of goes back to what was originally here, which can or can't happen. We typically had a lot of oak trees here, so acorns were a very big deal. Not so much anymore. We typically had the tule elk, which roam the valley here certain parts of the year. Not anymore. There are some other mammals still floating around here. But the a lot of fishing that came through here. We actually had enough water here in the spring and parts of the summer that would take us back to the Delta, which would get you out to the Bay of San Francisco. Not anymore. Basically, I'm using this as an example that if you find out what the natives did in your area back when they were here, you might find some resources that, hey, you know, out in the woods here, I could use some of this stuff my own self now, or in the future. There were things that they had in our area. These people live here for many, many years off of the land, and this is kind of a good little book that points you in the direction of what might be on the land that you're on that might be useful to you. So it's just a really good resource. This is for my area. I'm in Central California. Like I said, there's 3 or 4 groups here, but you could be in Cleveland or El Paso or anything like that, and you've got people that have been there a long time before you that lived off of that land, and the books like this are a really good resource. So you find out who your natives were, and someone's written about them. I mean, there's very few people out there that haven't written about and how they lived and subsisted and all this. What's interesting about this particular one, or in my situation, is we no longer have all the wetlands here, all the marshlands, because all the major rivers, tributaries have been dammed up. And so we have big lakes now. So we don't have the seasonal floods out here anymore, which changed the Thule situation, the Thule elk. You know, it's cities out here now, so that stuff's all gone. I mean, we're not going to go back to that. But I got to thinking, so geez, if these native people came back here today, they couldn't make it. There's stuff, you know, half the stuff they use in here, the things that were like just like the oak tree and the acorns, which was just a foundational item, that's gone. I mean, there's some of it up there, but it's not like it was. They really couldn't. I don't think these poor folks could come back and pull off what they did before, because we've pretty much already screwed it all up. But anyhow, consider this. Find out, you know, wherever you're living now, wherever your place is, if you go back and study your native people, someone's written a book about them, and it's just a really good resource as far as what is possible, you know, out and about the hills of your area that might be some useful stuff that you weren't aware of. So, you know, I'll give a link below to Imp Starwater, good channel, real nice guy, very intelligent. He's the one who got me thinking about this. And find out who the people were that lived where you are before you did, and see what you can learn from them. Have a good one.